Is it just me, or are you finding that the mere act of buying groceries is almost requiring a personal loan these days? Well, you'll be relieved to learn that's not the case for our beloved Prime Minister. Why is that? Well, simple. Because he's generously given us the privilege of feeding him and his family to the tune of $55,000 per year. That's just a little over $1,000 a week. Not only that, but Justin has his own skip the dishes. As kitchen staff prepare the meals at 24 Sussex, they're then transported by courier to Rideau Cottage, where the family resides. A recent National Post story cites documents obtained by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation covering household expenses of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his predecessor, Stephen Harper. These list an average of $54,494 spent annually on miscellaneous food expenses, billed to the taxpayers, of course, after customary reimbursements by the Prime Minister. Not to worry though. PMO spokesperson Cecily Roy said Prime Ministers repay their household expenses to government coffers based on a flat rate and not per item, a policy that dates back to former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. As per a long-standing practice in place since 1985, the Prime Minister reimburses amounts related to food based on Statistics Canada data on household spending. Which household, I wonder? This is adjusted using the National Consumer Price Index to account for inflation. Inflation, there's a word we know about, she told the National Post. The Prime Minister also reimburses internet and courier charges for personal correspondence. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's lots of personal that he's citing. Questions about what these miscellaneous expenses pertain to, if they're directly related to household grocery expenses or official functions carried out on behalf of the Prime Minister, surprisingly weren't answered by the PMO, that's the Prime Minister's office. Neither were additional requests for more information on current household expense policies. Silly taxpayers. Why would they be? Peasants don't question kings now, do they? Now, of course, we get the fact that Prime Ministers typically don't shop for or prepare their own meals, instead relying on kitchen staff overseen by a household chef. Not only isn't this practical, but come on, they would be mobbed by all of their adoring fans seeking selfies and autographs, right? Shortly after a September 2021 re-election win, Trudeau recruited noted Montreal chef Shanthi Yen as his family's personal cook. Of course, only got to have the best. While the Prime Minister opted not to move into the now dilapidated home he grew up in, the kitchens at 24 Sussex Drive are still used daily to prepare the PM's family meals. Well, obviously, it's good. The kitchens are still usable, eh? Once prepared, the meals are transported by a courier just over a kilometer to Rideau Cottage, the two-story, 22-room home on the grounds of Rideau Hall. The Trudeaus have called home since 2015. Yeah, 22 rooms. I can see how me lord would need that. The documents include hundreds of pages of line item expenses dating back to April of 2007. According to the Privy Council office, records on household expenses weren't kept prior to 2006. Wonder why. Net household food bills for Harper, his wife, and 2 children cost taxpayers $417,745, or an average of $52,218 a year between 2007 and 2015. Well, it's reassuring to know that the trough is a tradition amongst all party leaders and all parties. To put the numbers in context, unreimbursed expenses for fiscal year 2013 topped $58,879, the highest during Harper's time in office. For Trudeau, not to be outdone, household expenses for him, his wife, and 3 children between 2015 and March 2022, the most expensive year for unreimbursed expenses for Trudeau was this year, with $76,213 picked up by, you know who, that's right, you and I. Despite heavy redaction and detailed purchase descriptions not given until late 2009, expense lists for both PMs show staff didn't stray far from the official residence to purchase groceries. Food purchases for both were split between the Loblaws, Metro, and Farm Boy supermarkets in Vanier, along with small specialty shops including Sazlov's Meat Market, Adonis Mediterranean Market, La Bottega Nicarasto Fine Foods, the House of Cheese, and frequent purchases from Cadwin's Montreal Bagels. Hey, only the best for our leaders, eh? Trudeau has also spent $1,083 on flow-boxed spring water since 2020. Gotta have the right water. Each eco-friendly container is made from 100% recyclable, mostly plant-based, renewable materials, so you can hydrate sustainably, the company's website says. Saving the planet on the taxpayers' dime. The sheer commitment of these folks almost makes me want to tear up. During his campaign to become Prime Minister, Trudeau ran a platform of government transparency by default. So, how's the transparency thingy going? Well, after winning in 2015, promises for more transparency in everything from the PM's daily itinerary to streamlining Canada's broken access to information ATI system have largely gone nowhere. Listening, Liberal voters? Earlier this year, a scathing report from Information Commissioner Caroline Maynard said the government lacks understanding of how bad issues are with ATI, with less than 20% of information requests by Library and Archives Canada fulfilled within mandated deadlines. Yeah, no organic, vegan, gluten-free cookies for you, Justin. Details on the Prime Minister's activities in his daily itinerary, particularly lately, have ranged from vague to fictitious, as evidenced by the PM making Canada's first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation last year by vacationing in Tofino, despite his itinerary listing him as attending private meetings in Ottawa. I'm sure he identified as being at those meetings. Franco Terrazzano, Federal Director for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, described the reimbursement gaps as gaping policy hole that needs immediate attention. Franco, I would say it's a giant black hole, my friend. A ton of money has been flying out the door for years, but taxpayers can't get a straight answer on what the Prime Minister's household expenses were for, he said, explaining the Prime Minister's household expense must be made public with a clear demarcation between government business and personal expenses. He added further, Trudeau must make it mandatory for Prime Ministers to post their household expenses online and for all family grocery bills to be paid for personally. Well, given Justin's love of mandates, maybe there's hope yet, Franco. Anyway, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Please post any comments you have in the comment section. You can also follow me on my Rumble, on my Locals account. If you're a new subscriber, please check out some of my past videos. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. See you next time.